All right, this video is going to cover our 4.3 section of Chapter 4. This is what we call Cpctc. It's a lot of fun to say. What Cpctc stands for is corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. My students know since the very first day of school, I have been stressing the word corresponding. Corresponding means matching. So we've got to look for matching parts of triangles to figure out which parts are congruent. So your congruency statement is when you have two triangles that are congruent, we can write it like this with the congruent symbol in between. So we write the triangle symbol, the letters, the congruent symbol, and then we write the triangle symbol and the letters of the second one. Now, what we need to understand is these corresponding parts. The order or position that they are in, the letter is in the name, they have to match up. So what I mean by that is, if we look right here, A is the first letter of the first triangle, and you're going to see down here, letter A has one little arc, congruency arc. In the other triangle, D is the first letter, so it has one arc. These two match in the order of the name, and they're going to match on sides, and therefore they're going to be congruent. And then we take a look at B is the second letter in the name, and B has two little arcs. And E, it's going to match and correspond with E, and therefore be congruent. And then the last letter, we've got C, so angle C over here with the three arcs is going to be the last letter, and the last letter in the other one is F. So these are matching positions, they are corresponding, and they are congruent. And over here we see that F has three little arcs. When we talk about, I'm going to be talking about those angles here in a moment, but with our corresponding sides, okay, these are going to be sides that match in the same place of not only the name, but where on the triangle. So we have the same congruency statement here, and what we do here is we need to take a look at the first congruency statement right here says that segment AB is congruent to segment DE. Well, if you look in the names, AB is the first two letters, DE is the first two letters. And you also need to make sure that we don't say AB and ED. We got to keep those in the same order. First letter, second letter, first letter, second letter. Then the second and last letters, BC, will correspond with the second and last letter. So here we have segment BC is congruent to segment EF. Lastly, when we have segment CA is congruent to segment FD, what we see here is CA is the last and first. Notice I didn't say first and last. It goes from last to first. So that's why on the second congruency here, or the second segment, we have F to D. Okay, we can't say, just like I was saying earlier, we can't say AB and ED. Here we have CA, FD. We have to make sure that they are completely matching. And then with the corresponding angles, we just discussed that with up here. So we'll just quickly go through and see. We've got A and D. So these two correspond. They match. They are congruent. B matches with E, middle letter and middle letter. So angle B and angle E are congruent, matching, corresponding. And then C matches, corresponds, and is congruent with F. So we're going to take this next picture, and they've already told us here that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. So let's go ahead, and before we even start answering A through F, it's a good practice to just go ahead and mark everything that's congruent. So then when we start looking at what they want us to find, we can very quickly go locate it. So again, just what we did, we've got A is going to correspond with D, so angle A and angle D are going to be congruent. B and E are the middle letters, so angle B, two arcs, is going to correspond with angle E and be congruent. C and F are both the last letters, so angle C will correspond and be congruent to angle F. Now we'll take a look at the sides. We have AB is the first and second letter, so side AB right here will correspond to be congruent with DE. Keep in mind, again, I'm saying the letters in the correct order, A then B, so it's D then E. Then we have the last two letters, B and C, right here, two tick marks, will correspond to be congruent to EF, right here. Then we have our outer two letters, first and last, AC with DF. So 3 little tick marks. So let's answer A through F now. We're looking at A, we have a congruency statement. It is saying segment BC is congruent to, so we go find BC, and now that we have our tick marks, we can just match those up. We don't have to go back up to the name and look at it. 2 tick marks, fine. The one over here, 2 tick marks. The way we do have to make sure, though, is we put the E and the F in the correct order. So if you look at it, we're going from B to C, we're going from the 2 arcs to the 3 arcs. So over here with EF, we need to go 2 arcs to the 3 arcs, EF. So we would call this segment EF. Make sure that you're putting that segment bar above it. We talked about that before. You have to have the segment bar if it's a congruency. Next, we have angle F. So I'm going to find angle F. Angle F is over here. We've got the 3 arcs over here. C has the 3 arcs. Also, they match in the name here. Okay? So angle F is congruent to angle C. Angle A is congruent to, angle A had 1 arc, first letter, and angle D has 1 arc and the first letter. So angle A will be congruent to angle D. Next, we're looking at the measure of angle E. Okay, that little m, and we have an equal sign. We're talking about a number, a measurement, not a physical drawing, okay? So we're going to go find angle E. Angle E, oh, we don't have a number. Well, we also can't use triangle sum theorem because we don't have other angles. But what we can do is we can take a look on the other triangle for its matching corresponding congruent angle, and we see they are going to be exactly the same, so angle E will be 77 degrees as well. And then now we're looking at DF equals, no segment bar and no congruency is an equal sign. This is, again, with the equal, numbers are equal. We're looking for a measurement. So we go to DF, and again, we have that situation where we don't have anything labeled. All we have to do is go to the other triangle and find its corresponding matching and congruent side. Again, making sure here, well, I guess we don't have to worry about the order of the letters, but since segment AC is 5 centimeters, segment DF is going to be 5 centimeters as well. Now, the other thing we need to talk about is, I keep saying, you're going to hear me say it over and over and over again, order of the letters. What we're doing on F is we're rearranging the letters of triangle ABC, and what we need to see here, congruency statement, so we need to take triangle DEF, and we need to rearrange the letters in the same way. So here we had A listed first. Let's first draw a little triangle symbol. We had A listed first. A will correspond with D. So D will be the first letter. C is the middle letter. So C corresponds with F. And B will correspond with E. And you guys notice I was pointing to the name and the picture. So you can use either a name or a picture to help you with this, all right? The next 2 problems we're going to look at with Cpctc is we're going to see these different triangle, we're going to see the different triangle congruency statements, and we're going to have some algebra. We need to solve for different things. We got to look at either the letters or the pictures. Example 2, I'm going to show you just using the letters in the name, and then example 3 will actually draw it out. You can either draw it or just use the names, whichever way is easiest for you. So example 2 says triangle LMN is congruent to triangle JKL. So the measurement of angle M is going to be 5x minus 7, measurement of angle L, x minus 14, the measurement of angle K, 2x plus 17. In this problem, we are going to need to find the measure of angle K. Solving for x is not good enough. This is where we have to be super careful, make sure what do they actually want us to find. After we solve for x, we're going to need to substitute it in for whatever angle K is, and it's 2x plus 17. So if we take a look here, we'll look at measurement of angle M. Angle M is located as the middle letter here, so it is going to correspond and be congruent to angle K. And they gave us angle K right here. So another statement I always say with my students is when 2 things are congruent, their measurements are equal. That reminds us when 2 things are congruent, set them equal to each other. So we're going to take the measurement of angle K. We'll go ahead and write the, I'm going to do angle M first. I'm going to go ahead and write a congruency statement here. The measurement of angle M is equal to the measurement of angle K. Again, I'm not doing a congruence, it's an equality statement because we have an equal sign. I'm doing the equal because we're dealing with measurements. So all we have to do is take this 5x minus 7 and set it equal to k, which was 2x plus 17. What they have done is angle L is extra information that you do not need, okay? What I need you to do now is I need you to pause the video and give you a second to go push the pause button. You need to solve this on your own. In a second, it's going to pop up with the work and the answer. Pause the video, solve it on your own, and then resume and check your answer and your work. Got it right? If not, find your mistake and make sure that we're aware of it. So now we need to take angle K, that 2x plus 17, and we need to remember how we substitute in. We have the measure of angle K. We'll go ahead and write it down. We remember all we're doing is we're removing x and we're plugging in what we found x to be. And then all we have to do is math. 2 times 8 plus 17. We're going to find that the measure of angle K is going to equal 33 degrees. And also to confirm if your solving for x was correct, you could plug it into angle M as well, and it'll come out to 33 also. All right, the last problem for this video, we are going to take the triangles and we're going to see how we can do the drawing. So when we go ahead and draw, we'll start off with drawing a triangle and labeling it ABC, and a triangle and labeling it DEF. And the great thing about drawing your own triangles, whenever we looked at the previous page, the triangles did not have the same orientation or position. Whenever you draw it yourself, you get to draw it in the same position also. So let's take a look at BC is equal to 2x plus 13. So BC, over here, we've got the last 2 letters. And on our picture, we'll go ahead and label 2x plus 3. And we look at EF. EF is also the last 2 letters. So these 2 sides will be congruent. They correspond. And this is 4x minus 7. They are going to want us to find the measure of BC. So we're going to have to plug back in again. And as we talked about, when 2 things are congruent, their measurements are equal. So we just set these equal to each other as 2x plus 3 equals 4x minus 7. So here we go again. I need you to pause the video and go ahead and solve for x on your own. And we should see here x should have come out to 5. So let's go ahead and plug into BC. With BC, 2x plus 3. Again, we remove x, and we're going to substitute in that 5, what we found x to be. So now all we do is 2 times 5 plus 3. BC comes out to equal 13. All right, so make sure you're practicing. Use the colors. It's very helpful. Corresponding means congruent and matching. The corresponding are congruent, but corresponding, remember, matching.